I think you're good.
Okay. Hello, Professor. I'm Kendra Schaap. I'm doing my informative speech on the Salem witch trials, and this is through WIT Community College. Okay. So the Salem witch trials is something I think that everyone has heard about, but I don't think really people know about it. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. First, I'm going to go through kind of the setting of Salem Village, Massachusetts, 1692. So Salem Village was a really isolated village on the edge of the wilderness. Native American attacks were really frequent there, and a recent war over the frontier had just been fought, which we had lost. So Salem Village residents were really scared, suspicious people because they were being attacked so much by Native Americans and what they thought was the devil. So the Salem witch trials, it kind of started in the winter of 1961 through 62, when a group of 8 girls were out in the woods attempting to dabble in magic. Now these girls were young. They were ages like 8 through 16. They didn't really know what they were doing. They were just kind of joking around, playing around. And it was all just a little game until in January of 1692, one of the girls became really sick, and she went through these fits of contortions and like uncontrollable fits of screaming. And soon the other 7 girls had these same symptoms as well. So the doctor came and diagnosed this as bewitchment, and this made the girls really scared because in the strict Puritan society in which they lived, they would have been severely punished if anyone had known that they were attempting to conjure up spirits. So in an attempt to shift the attention from themselves, they accused 3 women of the community of bewitching them. The first 2 were Sarah Good and Sarah Osborne, who were just homeless elderly beggars. They were really easy targets. And the third was Tituba, which was a Caribbean slave who had often told them stories of voodoo and witch doctors from her native culture. So these 3 women were brought to trial, and the girls were there screaming, doing contortions, and the first 2 women were convicted of bewitching them. But Tituba, in an attempt to save herself, she confessed, and she said that she was forced by the devil to sign his book and do his work. And she said that she had seen other names in this book as well. So this confession silenced all the skeptics, and the witch hunt had officially begun. So hysteria broke out throughout the village. This was an opportunity for old scores to be settled, and old family feuds were brought up again. Motives for disputes over land were a huge motive for accusing your neighbor of witchcraft. So people were just being accused constantly, and other people were figuring out that confession was a great way to escape the gallows. So they would confess that they were witches and name accomplices, and so more people were being accused. So soon the judicial system was like overruled by witchcraft trials, and so a special court was brought up just for that. And this court accepted spectral evidence, which meant that if someone's spirit did something, then they could be convicted of witchcraft. So because of this, people were convicted really quickly, and the trials went really fast. The first witch brought to trial was Bridget Bishop, and she was a tavern owner who accepted things like gambling and drinking in her house, so she was convicted right away and hung. But there were also many respected people in the community who were convicted of witchcraft as well. A trial that brought a lot of ideas in Salem was of their ex-minister George Burroughs, who was accused of being a ringleader of the witches. It was said that he bewitched his soldiers, and that resulted in the failed military campaign. So many historians think that this is a huge key to understanding the trials, because many of the judges were also played lead roles in that failed war, and it was said that they were trying to shift the blame from them to the witches. So these trials lasted all summer long, but in early autumn, doubts were coming to how many respected people could be convicted of witchcraft. And eventually ministers were coming from Boston, Massachusetts, and saying that spectral evidence could no longer be allowed in the court. And with this omitted, no witches could be convicted anymore. They were all innocent. And eventually, in May of 1693, all witches in jail were released. So what really happened at Salem, nobody really knows. There are some big differences between the accused and the accusers, The accused were normally rich business owners, landowners, and the accusers were competing business owners or people with less land, not as much money. Also, they tended to take very different sides in church arguments. So people believe that Salem Village experienced like a mass hysteria, a shared delusion. Others just think that because of the stress and fear that they were under with all these attacks, that just led to paranoia. Others believe that the strict Puritan society just erupted under the pressure that they were in. I believe that it's very important to learn these things about history because I think that, I believe in the quote that those who are ignorant of history are doomed to repeat it. Thank you.